In October of 2025, the gaming community was blindsided. A new extraction shooter set in a post-apocalyptic world pulled in gamers of every type and exploded in popularity. It hit top concurrent player marks on all platforms. It sold more than 16 million copies and earned some of the strongest reviews of the year. It seemed a new dominant force in the PvP space had arrived, and it looked unstoppable. Until it hit a wall. Now in August of 2026, less than a year later, the game sits with a loss of over 90% of its players. And here's how it happened. October 30th, 2025. After a very successful free weekend server slam, the game launched. Embark was a studio built out of former Battlefield developers who had just produced the finals, so expectations were high, and they exceeded them. The game launched to widespread critical acclaim. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10 in Editor's Choice, calling it a new standard for extraction shooters with polished gameplay and an irresistible grind. Review averages sat in the mid to high 80s across platforms, with strong praise from outlets like GameSpot, GameRant, and others for its tense combat, excellent sound design, atmospheric world, and satisfying progression. The audience response was just as strong. It hit nearly 470,000 players concurrently on Steam, and the all platforms concurrent peaks reached almost 1 million. It quickly became a viral hit. By January, they had sold 12 million copies, and for a moment, it looked like Embark had created something rare. A successful live service game.
You serious?
For several months after launch, Arc Raiders felt like it had real momentum. The numbers held, the game had a strong presence in the competitive shooter community, and casual gamers had made it part of their routine. That stretch at the end of 2025 and early 2026 was the true peak. But the first real cracks were already there.
Hackers! Hackers and cheaters!
Cheating and exploits showed up almost immediately. In November, it began with relatively simple PC command and graphics exploits, removing fog, brightening dark areas, and gaps in the map that allowed players to hide inside walls. On December 11th, Embark pushed a patch that closed some of these holes, and then the team would go on vacation. They wouldn't really return for about 4 to 5 weeks. And during that window, the game was flooded. Wall hacks, aimbots, duplication glitches. The exploits had escalated hard. At one point, the game felt completely broken open.
Oh, dingle! Go, go, go! Where are they even shooting us from?
Oh, there's a guy!
Where? Oh!
He's invisible!
Oh my god, he's cheating. What a sweet treat. Run,
Oh,
run.
nice cheat, bro. Good. Nice cheat. There's a team. What the f? How did you? Wait, you dropped your arm. Guys, this guy did a cheat. How do I pick up? How do I pick it up? Dude, this guy dropped his hands.
Hackers and cheaters!
Streamers also began pointing out that there wasn't really a meaningful endgame, though that complaint was still somewhat quiet because a large portion of players still hadn't reached that point. So we'll put a pin in that, and we'll come back to that issue later. But by mid-January, when Embark returned from winter break, the outcry about cheating was so loud that the studio's CEO put out a statement acknowledging the cheating problem and confirming that tens of thousands of players have been banned. And for a moment, a lot of the community had felt like the game had been pulled back. from the edge.
Access main program. Access main security. Access main program grid.
You didn't say the magic word.
Please!
Unfortunately, that feeling didn't last even 24 hours, as a perfect storm was hitting Embark, starting with a fundamental flaw in the game loop. In most extraction shooters, you fight over high-value key rooms. In Arc Raiders, those rooms often held basic junk. Players quickly realized that the only way to guarantee they'd get good stuff was to hunt other players, specifically at major Arc events. So without meaning to, Embark had turned their cooperative world into a hunting ground. Then came the balancing act that felt more like an execution. Embark began a wave of weapon adjustments, but they never buffed anything. Instead, they played a game of whack-a-mole with the community. In January, the Volcano and the Venator were kings of PvP. Embark didn't just tweak them, they gutted them, including stealth nerfs they didn't even mention in the patch notes. When players pivoted to the Stitcher and the Pharaoh to survive, Embark followed them there too, stripping away recoil control and hipfire accuracy. By the time the smoke cleared, it was obvious if you found a weapon you loved, it was only a matter of time before it was targeted. And while the player count was peaking, the trust and the fun factor was already starting to erode.
Oh, this is easier. Yeah, we can handle this okay.
As the player count peaked, the community hit a wall. Remember that endgame issue we mentioned earlier? Well, now it was impossible to ignore. Players were trapped between useless key rooms and an endgame that didn't really exist. All you had was to prep for the server wipe, which meant hoarding gear. So you basically had two choices. Take expensive gear and risk everything on a massive Arc event and hope you make enough to cover your costs, or just hunt the people doing those events. Because the key rooms were so poor, extraction became exfiltration. PvP players started running hybrid kits, one gun for the robots, one gun for the humans, and they turned the Queen and Matriarch events into kill boxes. To survive, the PvE players had to do the same. The cooperative spirit of the game was being replaced by a hunter-be-hunted mentality that exhausted the casual player base. And while the meta was narrowing down to just a handful of viable guns, the cheating problem became a farce. Remember those thousands of bans Embark bragged about? Well, they were meaningless. Within hours, cheaters were back in the same lobbies using the Steam family sharing system to bypass their bans on burner accounts. The game was being squeezed from both sides, a broken loop that forced players to turn on each other, and a security system that was essentially a screen door.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently. That's okay.
By February, the community was already on edge, and Embark's response was more of the same. They continued their game of balance whack-a-mole, hitting the Trailblazer grenade, the Venator again, and the Stitcher again. While they finally offered some buffs to the Aphelion and Jupiter, it felt like too little too late. The message to the players was clear: don't get comfortable. This created a toxic gap between the haves and have-nots. New players were forced into the world with garbage gear only to be shredded by veterans who had moved on to the next meta. In March, even the close-range safety net was pulled when shotguns were effectively nerfed into the ground. Then Embark pulled the final thread: the economy. For months, players of all skill levels had relied on energy ammo as a financial lifeline. It was cheap to craft and sold for a reliable profit, allowing casual players to fund their kits even after a bad run. Overnight, Embark slashed its sell value to 1/5 of what it was. That was the silent killer, without a way to reliably make money, and with their favorite weapons constantly being gutted. The PvE players simply stopped logging in. And when the PvE players vanished, the hunters found their lobbies empty. The easy hunts were gone, and the predators followed their prey out the door. The exodus was complete.
Play from the beginning.
Ark Raiders is a multiplayer extraction adventure set in a distant future here on Earth. Players start in Speranza, one of the few places in the Rust Belt that is relatively safe from Ark machines that occupy the surface. There are thousands of people living down here, and there is always a need for vital materials from the world above. The Raiders are the ones who put themselves at risk, both from Ark as well as other rival raiders, for a price. It is from here that players can reach different parts of the Rust Belt through a network of repurposed tunnels.
By the summer of 2026, the silence in the lobbies told the full story. The massive wave of players that made Ark feel electric was gone, leaving behind only a dedicated core and a lot of empty space. Looking back, it wasn't one single catastrophic mistake that brought them down. It was a series of systems that quietly worked against each other, worthless key rooms that pushed players into PvP, constant nerfs punished people for finding something fun, and an economy change that cut the legs out from under the casuals who kept the game populated. Each decision might have made sense in a boardroom, but on the ground they drained the goodwill this game had earned at launch, and it was a slow erosion, patch by patch, decision by decision, until the version of the game people fell in love with simply didn't exist anymore. But the story isn't over. Ark Raiders is still breathing. Embark is positioning this October's Frozen Trail update as a potential turning point, a chance to fix the loop and bring the players home. Whether it's a true redemption or the final confirmation remains to be seen. Is it too late to save Ark Raiders? Well, let us know in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.